Okay, Assalamualaikum and good evening to Dr. Ehsan and my fellow classmates. Okay, for today, our topic will be a topic into mixed ethnics in Malay community school. Okay, our group members, we consist of only two. Okay, hey Naim and me myself Faez. As for introduction, the ideas of multilingualism and multiculturalism are highly valued in Malaysia. As we all know, this nation is famous for its rich cultural diversity and linguistic legacy, especially in the context of primary education. Since there are different ethnic groups and languages in the community, accepting and fostering these characteristics from an early age can be beneficial for both individual pupils and the larger society. As we all know, multilingualism and diversity are vital parts of the curriculum in Malaysian elementary schools. Focusing on multilingualism makes sure that students becomes fluent in more than one language, which makes it easier for them to communicate and work with people from other cultures. At the same time, the focus on multiculturalism creates an environment where people accept, understand, and appreciate the different cultures in Malaysia. Now we move on to the objectives of the study. We have four here. The first one is to look how multicultural and multilingual aspects are being applied to English education. The second one is to learn about multicultural issues. The third one is to look into the effects of multicultural and how the participants think and act. Next one, to find out what it will take to make multilingual and multicultural work for school in Malaysia. Okay, this is the background of the study. Okay, we focus on two schools here. The first school is situated in Selangor, which is in suburb area. This is a big school. Have two sessions, morning and evening. 2,000 pupils and 110 teachers, which almost 1 to 20 teacher pupils in ratio. This is majority Malay pupils, 99% also have only a minority 1% Indian and Borneo natives. We have three teachers and Indian from Indian ethnics here and also two teachers from the Borneo natives. As for the second school, it is situated in Pahang in Felda rural area, which is a small school consisting of 200 pupils and 20 teachers. The ratio is one teacher to 10 pupils, 1 to 10. This is it have a Malay majority peoples 90% and all, just 10% minority, which consists of the Semai Aborigines. This school has two teachers from the Semai Aborigines background. Okay, this is the tables of the interviewees backgrounds. We have done 6 interviews. As we can see, we have 3 teachers and 3 pupils. And also all the teachers has 10 years of teacher experience and above. Okay, for for race we have three Malay ethnics, one Indian and two from Semai Aborigines. In the religious aspect, we have for Muslims one Hindu and one animism. Okay, okay, for interviewee one. Okay, her name is Madam Kalpana. She's a teacher with almost 18 years of teaching experience. Her option is English, and she's been teaching at her current school since her first posting, which means that she never applies for a transfer. She's an Indian and always be able to mingle around with her Malay colleagues and pupils very well. This is the highlighted points of the interview from with her. First one, she has never applied for a transfer because she said that she feels very comfortable in her current workplace. She's able to respect other cultures. She tries to blend in with the Malay community in her own ways. She has always been quite lenient and tolerable when it comes to a few times of inconveniences from her own pupils. Well, no matter how uh, the world is beautiful or what, the world look like clean or what, but issues will always arise. Okay, issues that Madam Kalpana faces in her earliest years of teaching. She sometimes receives disrespectful remarks from her pupils. Disrespectful remarks. For example, she sometimes find out that pupils dare to glare at her. Pupils dare to say something that is not quite a good conduct to her. Next one, she experienced situations where she needs to respond to a few racial slurs from pupils. Racial slurs means something like she states that something pertaining to her skin color, to her ethnical views, and sometimes when she uh, speak in her mother tongue with her Indian colleagues. She states that sometimes the pupils heard and they say something which is not a good conduct. Uh, Sometimes maybe could be considered as racial slurs. And also, she faced pupils who expects she also celebrate Islamic events. Okay, for example, she states that she encounters sometimes pupils who ask for duit raya, who ask for pocket money from her because they thought that Madam Kalpana also celebrate the events. Uh, but she tackle the issue quite well when she say this is not her culture, this is not. But she states that giving a duit raya is a good practice actually. Okay, it means that she thinks that giving duit raya, giving pocket money is quite a good quite a good culture uh, from the Malay community. So this is the ways to tackle that I find out from the interviewee. This is how she responds to the questions. She said that she used dual language in class as pupils are not proficient yet in understanding English. She also helped non-Malay pupils who face language and cultural barrier to call them personally and give personal guidance. She also introduced simple oral speech for pupils to talk about their experience in celebrations and festivals. For example, is when she told the pupils to go in front and she encouraged them to speak one or two simple sentences about their experience, about how they feel about the festivals. Okay, the next one is they do she and the pupils do hands-on activities like making green envelopes and coloring tasks. Green envelopes here means duit raya. Okay, and the next one is she introduced about her culture and religious events in class. She says that she doesn't have much opportunities to introduce her culture. So she says that when last time she teach year five, because year five that time has topics that introduce festivals. So she says that that's the only time that she thinks she introduced about her Indian culture, about her cultural foods such as the muruku, the curries, and so on. Okay, now we move on to the interview two. This time, this is a pupil named Hazika. She's a year two pupil with quite good level of English considering her current age. She always try to practice her English a bit at home with her parents and younger sister. And also she states that during the interview she liked to speak in English. And surprisingly, during some point in the interview, She said that she realized that English is important. She tried to compare. She said that she also she compared to other nations like China, like the Burmese. That she states that the peoples there also use English as medium of interaction. It means like maybe means like, okay, if the Chinese and the Burmese can speak English, and why not she? Okay. The highlighted points that I can see in the interview with her is I found out that she's comfortable to use English with her friends, with her classmates. She also feels fun during English class, and also a few friends is being supportive when she try to speak English with them. However, she also faced some issues, although not much. The first one is she sometimes face one-sided treatment from friends when it comes to speaking English. One-sided treatment here means like when she try to speak to them in English, sometimes her friends is like being blur, being they don't understand what she talks, and then because they don't understand what she talks, and they doesn't respond. They doesn't respond at all. So she feels that she's she feels that she's just speaking alone with no responses with from her friends at all. Okay, the second one, she I think she have little space to practice in English, which means that for in her environment, not much friends that she can speak English well. She can practice her English well. As for at home, she only speak a bit of English, so not much of space and chances for her to practice in English. Okay, and she said that the teacher used same strategy to teach in almost every lesson, which means that open the textbook and teach. So not much interactions there. Although she states that she feels fun, in the class. Okay, but the strategy is always the same, which means it could lead to boredom. It could lead to boredom actually. Okay, and now we move on to the next interviewee theory.
The interviewee is Madam Nurul Aziza, and she's being an English teacher for 10 years. Her race is Malay. The first language is Malay language, and the other language is English language. So the summary of profile is Nurul Aziza is an experienced teacher from Malaysia who teaches English and Malay in a rural school, which is Felda, where both languages are spoken. She has been teaching for 10 years, so she is very good at both languages and has a deep knowledge of how they are used in different cultures. Nurul works hard to make learning fun and open to everyone so that students can improve their English skills and understand other cultures. So, first of all, she had been using dual language skills. She excels in both English and Malay language as medium of instruction in her classroom. So the language acquisition strategies that she uses to utilize the interactive activities, authentic materials and real-life context. She integrates cultural integration, incorporates songs, celebration and traditional practices to foster multicultural learning environment. And she also uses differentiated instruction where she creates a supportive and inclusive atmosphere to adhere all students where all students feel valued. So her experience in teaching, she has been teaching English and Malay in Malaysian primary schools for the past 10 years. She has successfully used a dual language method in her classroom, blending English and Malay into her lessons in a way that it is easy to understand. And through her experience, she has come up with ways to help her kids learn languages and understand other cultures. So her philosophy is that a dual language method helps students learn language understand cultures, and learn more about the English and Malay languages. She is very interested in making the classroom a place where students feel strong enough to speak in both language. Her teaching philosophy is based on accepting different languages and cultures, promoting acceptance, and raising global citizens who value the wealth of Malaysian multicultural history. For the next interview, the interviewee name is Amirul. He's a 9-year-old Malaysian primary school pupils. His race is Malay, and the first language is Malay, and the other language or the second language is English. Amirul shows the capacity to communicate effectively in English and has the potential to increase his language competence with the correct atmosphere and support at school. Malay is the primary language spoken in Amirul's Malaysian home. Although he has had some exposure to English in school, he does not frequently use it significantly at home. He has demonstrated remarkable potential in learning the English language, nevertheless, and has the capacity to flourish in the subject due to his inherent propensity for languages. He has exceptional Malay and English speaking abilities, so he speaks English at school with confidence, engages in dialogue with his instructors and peers, and exhibits a solid command of grammar and vocabulary. Even if he might feel more at ease speaking Malay at home, he has the potential to communicate clearly in English given the correct circumstances and encouragement. So he routinely displays excellent academic performance across the board, especially in Malay and English. His proficiency in both languages enables him to perform exceptionally well in language-related tasks, including reading, writing, and comprehension exercises. He actively searches out opportunities to improve his language abilities and academic accomplishment because of his upbeat attitude and passion to learn. So for the next interview, the name is Nurul Asma, and she's an Aboriginal semi-English teacher. So the first language is Jahud, and the other language is Malay and English. So about Nurul Asma, Madam Nurul Asma is an experienced English teacher with a strong background in technology integration and a deep understanding of the semi-indigenous community. She has been teaching for 20 years in Pahang, Malaysia, and is dedicated to providing quality education to her students. Nurul Asma is a passionate advocate for preserving the Semai language and culture while imparting English language skills to her students. So her teaching expertise is she understands the importance of incorporating technology in the classroom and utilize various digital tools and resources to enhance the learning experience. As for language proficiency, she recognized the significance of multilingualism and embraced a trilingual approach in her classroom. As an Aboriginal Semai herself, Nurul Asma is deeply committed to promoting and preserving the Semai culture. She incorporates Semai cultural elements, traditions, and values into her teaching to provide her students with a holistic educational experience. And she encourages her students to explore digital tools that can facilitate language acquisition and cultural understanding, while also equipping them with digital literacy skills for the modern world. So, as for her being a semi-Aboriginal language teacher, she had been receiving several multicultural issues, which are racial stereotyping, lead to unfair assumption or judgment about her capabilities as a teacher on her cultural background. Language bias. She faced bias or resistance from certain individuals who believe that only Malay and English should be used as primary language of instruction. Exclusion or isolation. She finds it difficult to connect with colleagues or participate in certain discussion or activities that are centered around mainstream cultural norms. Lack of cultural understanding. She may face challenges in fostering cultural understanding among her students and colleagues. Some individuals may be resistant to learn about and appreciating her Semai heritage. And biased treatments. She may encounter biased treatments from students, parents, or even higher level admin based on her race and cultural background. It could manifest in unfair evaluation, dismissive attitudes, or limited opportunities for professional growth and development. So for the last interview, a student named Iskandar, Aboriginal semi 10 years old pupils. The first language is Jahud and the other language is Malay and English spoken. Iskandar is a bright and curious 10-year-old boy who belongs to the semi-Aboriginal community in Malaysia. So he's been growing up in a Jahud speaking household, well versed in his native language. However, Iskandar also possesses a good command of both English and Malay, which he has acquired through his schooling and interaction with friends and teachers. So for language abilities, Iskandar demonstrates proficiency in English and Malay, although he may not use English as frequently at home. At home, his family solely speak Jahud as their main language. For academic journey, although he primarily used Jahud at home, Iskandar demonstrates a strong grasp of English and Malay during classroom activities and interaction with his peers and teachers. For personal traits, with a friendly and sociable nature, he fosters positive relationships with his classmates and shows willingness to collaborate on group projects. Iskandar's adaptability and eagerness to learn contribute to his overall growth and development as a student. Even though he's been a good and bright student in school, he's been facing few multicultural issues. And the first one is racial stereotyping. He received racial stereotypes and assumptions from his classmates or even teachers who hold bias about Aboriginal communities. Verbal insults or name calling. Iskandar may face racial slurs, insults, or derogatory remarks from his peers due to his semi-Aboriginal background. This may have a negative impact on his self-esteem, sense of belonging, and overall school experiences. Exclusion or isolation. Iskandar might feel excluded or isolated by his peers due to his racial identity. They may form cliques or social groups that do not readily include him. Unequal treatment. He may receive unequal treatment for differential expectation compared to his non-Aboriginal classmates. And the last one is cultural ignorance. He may encounter a lack of understanding for his Semai culture and heritage. For the conclusions, we are going to take a look into Malay, Semai, and Indian race in Malaysia primary school. So the first one is cultural diversity. The primary school setting in Malaysia reflects a rich tapestry of cultural diversity, with Malay, Semai, and Indian students representing distinct ethnic backgrounds. The second one is language proficiency. Students from different racial backgrounds exhibit varying language proficiencies, with Malay serving as the primary language of instruction, while Semai and Indian students may have varying levels of proficiency in Malay and English. The third one is racial stereotyping. Racial stereotypes and prejudice persist within the school environment, leading to potential challenges for students, such as Semai students facing derogatory remarks or assumptions about their abilities, and Indian students facing such stereotypes related to their cultural practices. Number 4 is inclusive education. Efforts should be made to promote inclusivity and ensure that all students, regardless of their racial background, feel valued, respected, and included within the school community. The fifth one is multicultural education. Schools should prioritize multicultural education initiatives to foster understanding, respect, and appreciation for the diverse cultures and languages represented by Malay, Semai, and Indian students. Number 6 is addressing bias and discrimination. Schools must address bias and discrimination through awareness campaigns, diversity training, and promoting positive intercultural interactions among students, teachers, and staff. The next one is language diversity. Recognizing and celebrating language diversity is crucial in creating an inclusive learning environment. Schools can implement bilingual or multilingual approaches that accommodate linguistics needs of Malay, Semai, and Indian students. The next one is family and community engagement. To collaborate with families and communities plays a vital role in promoting cultural awareness and understanding among students. Schools should actively involve parents and community members in cultural events and activities. The next one is empowering students. Providing students with opportunities to share their cultural experiences and traditions fosters a sense of belonging and pride. Encouraging open dialogue and mutual respect allows students to learn from one another and challenge stereotypes. And the last one is teacher training. Educators should receive training in cultural competence and diversity to better understand the needs and experiences of students from different racial backgrounds, enabling them to create inclusive and supportive learning environments. So, by acknowledging and addressing the experiences and challenges faced by Malay, Semai, and also Indian students in Malaysia's primary schools, we can work towards a more inclusive and equitable education system that celebrates and values the diverse racial and cultural identities present in the country. So that's all from our group. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.